Hi, I'm Mike Gleason, and welcome as ESPN Classic presents Game 6 of the 1980 World Series between the Philadelphia Phillies and the Kansas City Royals. From 1976 through 78, the Phillies and the Royals won their respective divisions, but each year failed to advance to the World Series. That finally changed in 1980 when the Phillies beat Houston in 5 games of the NLCS, while the Royals ousted their longtime nemesis, the Yankees, in a 3-game ALCS sweep. In the World Series, Philadelphia won the first 2 games, but Kansas City bounced back and took the next 2 contests. It looked as if the Royals would keep their momentum going in Game 5, holding a 3-2 lead through 9 innings. But Manny Trio's 2-out RBI single capped a 2-run rally in the top of the 9th, and Tug McGraw escaped a bases-loaded jam in the bottom of the inning as the Phillies came away with a 4-3 victory and took a 3-2 advantage heading into Game 6. Through the first 5 games, the margin of victory was 2 runs or less. In Game 6, the Phillies sent ace Steve Carlton to the mound, while the Royals countered with Rich Gale. Coming up, we'll profile Carlton's transition to life after baseball. Right now, let's head out to Veterans Stadium in Game 6 of the 1980 World Series between the Phillies and the Royals right here on ESPN Classic.
Welcome to Veterans Stadium for Game 6 of the 1980 World Series, where the Philadelphia Phillies are hosting the Kansas City Royals. Let's take a look at the starting lineup for the Royals, who trail in the series 3-2.
And here is the lineup for the Kansas City Royals. Leading off, Willie Wilson in left field. Batting second, the shortstop, U.L. Washington. Batting third at third base, George Brett. In the cleanup spot, designated hitter, Hal McRae. Amos Otis bats fifth. He's in center field. Willie Aikens at first base, batting sixth. Batting seventh, the catcher, John Wathan. Batting eighth, the right fielder, Jose Cardinal. And batting ninth, the second baseman, Frank White. Tom, Steve Carlton, even George Brett in the interview talked about he couldn't get his breaking ball over. What are you looking for tonight?
Well, you're going to look more of the same for Steve Carlton, a big, powerful pitcher, Joe. The trouble that Steve Carlton had in Game 2, I think, and he said after the game, the slickness of the baseball, the shininess of the baseball prevented him from throwing his real good breaking ball. I think the thing tonight, looking at Steve, of course, 24-9 on the year, probably the Cy Young Award winner in the National League this year. The thing to remember about him is that counting spring training, the league championship series, the regular season, everything all combined, he's already thrown over 350 innings. So you might see a tired Steve Carlton tonight. He was tired in Game 2.
1 strike to count. Strike 2. Wilson has already struck out 9 times in 5 games, close to a record. 1 ball, 2 strikes, a jam-packed ballpark, and this town has just been waiting for their Philadelphia Phillies. They are really up. Struck him out 10 times out on strikes, Willie Wilson. A 6-game series, Jim Bottomley had the record at 9, but here it is again.
You may see a Steve Carlton tonight, 350 innings all year long, but one thing to remember is that he's got an extra day's rest. This is his 6th day that he's pitching. That extra day's rest could give a pitcher a little bit of pop, and he certainly looks like he's throwing very hard. He did to Willie Wilson, the first hitter up.
Here's U.L. Washington, and once again early in the game you see that toothpick, and you youngsters, it's all right for U.L. Washington, but that's one thing. Please don't copy. He can do it. You really can't. Strike 1. It's dangerous.
Carlton looks fast tonight. He turned 1 ball over to Wilson on the outside corner, but he's thrown nothing but heat.
1 out, 1 strikeout. Second batter, U.L. Washington, Carlton. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out. Behind the plate, Nick Bremigan.
Talked about the innings that Carlton has pitched. He has one of the most strenuous conditioning programs under the tutelage of Gus Heffling that I have ever seen, and he feels that he can bounce back a little bit faster than most guys under this program.
2-2 the count, of fastball on U.L. Washington. 1 out, nobody on.
There's no question he knows that it helps him, and he works very hard at it. only thing that is concerning tonight would be a concern tonight that he does have all those innings. 350 innings is an awful lot of innings for a starting pitcher to pitch in this era.
Misses. Full count, 3 balls, 2 strikes. 1980, pitched 304 innings, the most in the major leagues. Gave up most hits and most strikeouts he had. 243 hits, 286 strikeouts. Workhorse. Fouled out of play. Count remains.
For about the first half of this baseball season, every time Carlton went out to the mound, he looked like he was unhittable. He had all 4 pitches going for him. Hard fastball, the curveball slider. He even started to throw a little bit of a changeup late in the season.
The 3-2 pitch. UL Washington making him work. Count remains 3 balls, 2 strikes. The on-deck batter, George Brett. How do you pitch him? Well, we got all kinds of answers. Struck him out.
Well, Joe, you just asked the question, how do you pitch George Brett? We went to one of the closest members of his family, his brother, and asked Kenny, a pitcher on this team, how you pitch to George?
Well, I faced my brother George once in spring training, the first time I ever did, and he hit a ball about 430 feet off me. I've been scared to pitch to him ever since then. So what I'm going to suggest the Phillies do is, first of all, take off your shoe and throw this at him. He doesn't hit shoes too well. If that doesn't work, throw your glove at him. This is a first baseman's glove. He doesn't like to hit first baseman's glove. And last thing I would suggest is put the glove back on your hand, sneak behind the mound, put the rosin bag in your glove, and pretend like it's a baseball. Throw the rosin bag at him, and hopefully don't hurt him.
It's a different way of pitching him. Ken Brett, his brother. And George doesn't get the first one, strike 1.
He's been in a little mini slump since the knockdown incident. He's 1 for 8.
Strike 2. Steve Carlton working in a hurry. He is firing, rearing back and firing. He has struck out the first 2 batters. 2 strikes, no balls. George Brett. Booney looking for a waste pitch, picks it off nicely. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Tony referred to it. Boone has had a tremendous series.
He is picking balls out of the dirt, Joe. It's just been unbelievable this entire series, especially with the kid pitchers who've pitched.
Bouncing ball, Trio to his right, has it in time. So it's 3 up, 3 down for the Kansas City Royals. Bottom of the first, no score. It'll be Smith, Rose, and Schmidt for the Phillies. Joe Garagiola with Tony Kubek and Tom Seaver here in Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. 0-0, bottom of the third. Bob Boone will lead it off. And Boone has been to bat 15 times, has 6 hits. He's walked 3 times, has 2 doubles, hitting at 400. Bob Boone.
Did you see his father, Ray, out here very early today, what he was doing? Playing, Ray, of course, a former major leaguer, playing Pepper with his grandchildren, Aaron and Brett.
Man, I can't wait to do
Rose
that
also.
myself.
That's coming up pretty quickly, isn't it?
I can't wait, I'll tell you that. He was really thrilled, Ray Boone, former major leaguer. There's a good fastball. Talking about Carlton throwing hard, Gale is throwing hard, and it's ball 1. And it's ball 2. Wathan behind the plate doesn't agree.
He's shaking his head and not turning all the way, but he is on home plate up our Nick Bremigan a little bit.
Ball 3. You can usually talk to the umpires as long as you keep looking towards the outfield and not turn around and show them up. Ball 4. Hey, Ron Luciano, when catchers would turn around, you're one of the few guys that let them turn around to talk to you. You just wanted to visit, huh?
I'd let anybody talk to me. Nah, you don't let them turn around on you. That's a cardinal sin. They can call you any name under the sun as long as they're looking out towards center field, because only you and he know what he's talking or who he's talking about. But as soon as he turns around, that's an automatic ejection. Good night. See you tomorrow.
If he turns around, he's embarrassing the umpire, and that's one thing they cannot stand. They have to show their authority, and they do. Here's Lonnie Smith. Frank White has it. He goes to UL Washington, gets the save. Now I don't know what he's doing. Time. He calls safe and then time. Bill Kunkel. Here comes Jim Fry.
Well, Frank White had one thing in mind: get the lead runner. UL Washington cheated. He was off the bag. The second base umpire, Bill Kunkel, said, yes, you did cheat too much, and I'm going to call him safe. Watch it. A different angle. I'll tell you, he's off that bag by a little bit more than a couple of inches, probably 1.5 feet or so, and it cost him. Bill Washington was trying to get out of the way of the hard sliding Boone, and by trying to do, he wasn't trying to get a throw off. By trying to do so, he cheated too much. I think Kunkel made the right call.
Bill Kunkel had his right hand up. Look, maybe he called him out, but he was calling time. And so we've got base runners at first and second. I really couldn't tell on that play, Tony, to tell you the truth. So it looked like he was just in there. But here's another look at it. Let's see.
This left center field camera should be the excellent angle.
Oh, he was safe. His foot was off, yeah.
You know, you get away with a little bit of that, and many times umpires will give you that call. But that one was a little too obvious.
It's an error on the shortstop, UL Washington.
Here it is again, Tommy.
I don't understand how they can give an error to the shortstop on the ball, first of all.
Well, I don't
Tony?
You think he was drawn off by the throw?
It looks like he was drawn off by the throw, definitely. There's no play at first base. There's no way you're going to double up Lonnie Smith.
Right. What Washington's got to do then, if he's drawn off, because he's got plenty of time, is get the ball first and then come back and tag the bag. You've got to get one out.
So there is nobody out. Base runners at first and second. The infield looking for the bunt at first and third. Pete Rose, the batter. He had a base hit his first time up. There's no score in the third. They've got the play on, and Rose takes it high. And what I mean by the play is the shortstop goes to third. Tony, you've worked that play.
Well, ordinarily, first and second, what you'll do is the third baseman will come in and make sure the hitter commits himself. The shortstop will go to second baseman to first baseman charges. This particular play, they have Washington. Here he comes, going to third, White going to second. Well, one of the reasons they'll do that is because they've got a slower runner at second base. You try to have a fast runner, and he's going to beat the shortstop there, and you're in big trouble.
There they go again. The pitch is low. One thing you have to do is make them bunt the ball, and now Wathan wants to talk to Gale. Boone, a good base runner, although he may be slow, is not getting in no man's land, so he gets picked off like UL Washington as Billy Connors comes out to the mound to talk to the young pitcher.
Tom, they must have heard you because they have changed the official scorer's decision to E4. Frank White for pulling UL Washington off the bag. Now Green is having a conference with a home plate umpire as Green talking to Bremigan. Here's Akins coming in from first base. Nobody is covering first base on this particular play. They may change. There's Dallas Green may change too. I don't know what he's talking about. If someone is getting in the way of one of his base runners, he may be saying that UL Washington is getting in the way of Boone. We'll find out.
Is remembered in Philadelphia as the greatest pitcher in Phillies history. He won 329 games, compiled 4,136 strikeouts, and was the first pitcher to win 4 Cy Young Awards. Still, some might say that Carlton may have tarnished the end of an otherwise stellar career by staying in the game too long. With more on Carlton, here's Bob Lee with an excerpt from the first ever Outside the Lines, entitled When the Cheering Stops.
We begin here in the great American Southwest with a baseball pitcher who dominated that game like few ever have. There was a place waiting in Cooperstown for Steve Carlton, but he found his place in baseball hard to give up.
I wasn't going to retire. They're going to have to get rid of me. And everybody always talks when they play a long time, you know, I'm going to play until they rip the uniform off me, and that's what it gets down to. You know, so I wasn't ready to walk away.
He simply couldn't. The Phillies had to fire a legend.
The greatest left-hand pitcher in Phillies history and one of the greatest pitchers of all time will no longer be pitching. in Philadelphia.
The personal fire and focus that brought Carlton 329 wins compelled him, at the age of 41, to continue. 6 starts with San Francisco, 10 more with the White Sox. The next year, the Indians, even 3 complete games, and then the Twins, until his final release early in 1988. The punctuation on a Hall of Fame career that epitomized consistency and dominance. 2 World Series rings, more than 4,100 strikeouts, but the final act was a long one.
I mean, that would go against every fiber of my being to quit, you know, because that's not my nature.
Now his concerns are environmental. He yearns for a sovereign life in the West, with baseball in his past.
Turn the page. Don't look back. It's the only way you can do it. You know, if when you walk away from the game, you're still thinking about the game, and the rest of life's hitting you in the face, you don't even know it. I mean, there's a lot to do out there. But you have to turn the page. That's why I wanted to burn myself out on the game. That's why I played so long.
Carlton was enshrined in the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1994. Later, we'll take a look at the Phil's colorful reliever, Tug McGraw. But when we return, we'll head back to Game 6 of the 1980 World Series on ESPN Classic.
Well, Harry Wendelstedt, they're going to go over and talk to Dallas Green now. I don't know if it's an American League or National League or whatever. Bremigan's from the American League. He brought in Wendelstedt. Ronnie, Luciano, you got any idea what's going on?
Well, I know there's a rule in the American League that you only can have one infielder and a coach on the mound at the same time. That time they had 2 infielders on, and what I think Green is saying is, hey, is this legal? Can I get a balk out of it or eject the pitcher or something like that?
You got to be kidding.
No, I'm
in the World Series, they're going to go to that?
You're only allowed the catcher, 1 infielder, and the manager on the mound.
That's the American League. We're in the National League.
But they're playing under that rule today.
Right. That's like blaming the Johnstown flood on a leaky faucet, for crying out loud. Here's the pitch to Rose. It's a foul ball out of play.
And Boone was running off second base that time. They had, well, almost the whole field open. Brett and Akins charging. Both short and second base were wide open.
Tony, it was much more serious than that. They wanted to know if Fry spoke to his pitcher, which would count as a trip to the plate. So, Luciano, you were pretty close. World Series. Let's make that mountain out of the molehill. 2 balls, 1 strike, nobody out. Pete Rose with base runners at first and second, no score. Listen to this crowd. High, 3-1.
Let me tell you what might happen to Gale. He's had a streak of control problems there, obviously, but with all the things going on behind him, he, I believe, is so distracted that if they do bunt to me, where in the world do I throw the ball? If Pete bunts it, do I go to third? Is somebody going to be there? Is anybody going to be on first? I believe these plays could really goof a guy up.
Trick plays will kill you. All he can do is signal for a fair catch, for crying out loud.
Rattle Gale.
3-1 pitch. Bunt it down to third base. It's going to be a hit. Rose is charging hard. Brett safe.
Kansas City's defense outfoxed itself. They put a little more pressure on the kid pitcher Gale than ought to have been. Rose does make a perfect bunt. Gale froze on the mound. Here comes Brett. Rose beats it out.
Tony, I can't help but the concentration on Rose's eyes on that last replay. He was going to make sure he bunted the ball on the ground, and as you say, they just thought themselves into a base hit, the Kansas City defense.
Gill made a mental mistake in game number 2. As you remember, Tony, the ball hit back to him with the bases loaded. He didn't go home. He went to first base. Here again, he's made a mental mistake on that bunt play. The pitcher's job on this play is to break right toward the third baseline. You don't go toward home plate. That's the pitcher's ball right there. That is not George Brett's responsibility. The pitcher should make that play.
Well, Kansas City has already given Philadelphia 2 outs this inning.
And there are nobody out. Bases are loaded, and Mike Schmidt, their big man in the batter's box. The little bunt does it again. High, ball 1. A walk to Boone. An error by White. A A bunt by Rose. And Gale faces the bases loaded with Mike Schmidt, the batter. Nobody out. Out of play. Pete Rose, who had only 4 sacrifice bunts all year, and what a classic bunt that was. Got that bat out in front, much like the instructions. Catch the ball on the bat, and anyone can bunt. And Rose ends up with a base hit. Sheer hustle after he got his job done, which was bunting the ball towards third. Base hit, right field. Here comes 1 run in. Smith is going to score. Heading for third is Rose. Smith stumbles, and now he finally comes across. He was late coming around. He fell again, and it's a 2-0 ball game.
Fastball out over the plate. A little bit down. Schmidt really rifles it. He continues to have an excellent series with the glove and the bat. Now has 7 runs batted in for the series. Cardinal with a weak throw in, and Rose keeps on going to third. Schmidt is going to go because Aikens is in a cutoff position between home plate and his right fielder. Schmidt had thoughts of going, and look at that reaction. He's had a big series thus far. Rennie Martin has been throwing in the Kansas City Royals bullpen. Gale has not pitched that badly. He's been... Jim Fry out now. Rennie Martin will come in. Philadelphia Phillies looking for their first World's Championship as Martin comes on and Gale leads.
So we have a break in the action. The Phillies have taken a 2-0 lead here. We'll be right back after these messages.
You're watching Game 6 of the 1980 World Series between the Kansas City Royals and the Philadelphia Phillies on ESPN Classic.
So we're having all kinds of changes here. That is a brand new base at third base. Paul Pryor, the umpire, went in, got the groundskeeper. You see Brett working on it. He's getting used to it. Pete Rose is the base runner. Mike Schmidt's at first. These Philly fans kept wondering when their Phillies would fall behind to win. Well, they've taken a lead. It's only the 2nd time in this series that they've done that. Mike Schmidt gave him a 2-run homer in Kansas City to give him a lead. Right now, they're leading 2-0. Nobody out. Schmidt is at first. Rose is at third. Tug McGraw, who lined to left, is the batter. Ball 1.
I think an oddity in this series also is the fact that Kansas City's manager, Jim Fry, as we look at the stats of Rennie Martin, he has only used 5 pitchers. Phillies have used 10.
Martin in relief of Gale. And it's low. 2 balls, no strikes. There you see Rose at third, Schmidt at first. Mike Schmidt coming on strong, had a tough playoff series, had a tough start. But he's now 8 for 19 with 7 runs batted in. Popped up. Frank White at second base, drifting over. In foul territory, makes the catch. Rose holds. White runs it back. 1 out. Brings up Greg Luzinski with Gary Maddox on deck.
Double play from Luzinski, get that curveball over and get the double play. He'll turn what is a negative in the sense the Phillies had a big rally going. First and third, no outs, and already scored 2 runs, and he can turn it into a plus for his own ball club if he can get out of this inning with just giving up the 2 runs that Gale has given up.
Ball 1. Luzinski was out on strikes his first time up. Rennie Martin in relief of Gale.
Rose is at third. Rennie Martin, a guy on the mound now who is trained in the minor leagues to be a relief pitcher and is awfully tough to come in and relief when your best pitch is your curveball, because as you mentioned earlier, Tom, it is more of a field pitch than the fastball.
Hot smash to Brett. He looked to see if he could get Schmidt. Couldn't, so just held on to it. So there are 2 outs, and here is Maddox.
Looking right at the ball. Didn't hit it real hard. In fact, may have broken the bat. It sounded like it shattered, but Brett comes up throwing. He looked to third first. Rose was close, and he couldn't get Schmidt.
Maddox doubled into right center field his first time up. Ball 1. Philadelphia just taking a 2-0 lead on a single by Mike Schmidt. A walk, an error, a bunt, bases were loaded, Schmidt singled, driving in 2. There goes Mike Schmidt. Ball is hit deep in the right center field. Cardinal is back, should make the play. He does. So Rennie Martin comes in, puts out the fire, but the Phillies take the lead. At the end of 3, it is Philadelphia 2, Kansas City nothing. Martin walking off after a job well done. Due up for Kansas City, UL Washington, George Brett, and Tug McGraw.
You're watching Game 6 of the 1980 World Series between the Kansas City Royals and the Philadelphia Phillies on ESPN Classic.
For those of you who may be tuning in late, we welcome you to Veterans Stadium, Philadelphia, Game 6 of the World Series. We've reached the halfway point. Through 4.5, Phillies out in front of the Royals 2-0. And frankly, so far, the Phillies have played like the champions and the Royals have not. Steve Carlton cruising along, struck out 6, allowed only 2 hits. The Phillies have turned 2 double plays behind him. By contrast, the Royals have had their problems. By allowing 5 outs in the 3rd innings, they allowed 2 Philly runs with a phantom force at second and a Rich Gale misplay of a bunt. Here at the Veterans Stadium, there seems to be a feeling of comfort among the Philly fans as they watch this ball game, that their team is very much in control. And frankly, the Royals have done nothing to threaten that comfort. Only Rennie Martin has been a bright spot for Kansas City as he prepares to face Smith, Rose, and Schmidt. Tony, he's retired 6 in a row.
Thank you, Brian. To tell you exactly how those 2 runs were scored, Gale got himself in trouble to start off the inning, the 3rd, when he walked Boone. Then Smith, the ball hit to Frank White. He threw to UL Washington. White was charged with the air. Rose, a bunt single down the 3rd baseline. Rennie Martin throws the first pitch over the head of Lonnie Smith. 1 ball, no strikes. If it was a knockdown or brushback, it was a very weak one.
That'll be a little bit of humor among the players because you don't knock down players with a breaking ball, Tony.
Fouled off by Smith. 1 ball, 1 strike.
You notice that Martin looked over at George Brett, I guess, to symbolize something about the knockdown, but it was a curveball, so it certainly was unintentional. Nobody upset about that at all.
In that 3rd inning, Schmidt, with a single to right field, drove home both Philadelphia runs. Curveball missed inside. 2 balls, 1 strike to Lonnie Smith. 65,838 fans here at Veterans Stadium looking, and they've got a long way to go for the first World's Championship ever in Philadelphia. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Smith. Two to nothing. Phillies over Kansas City in the bottom of the 5th. Peel played out to the first base umpire Harry Wendelstad. He gives the safe sign, so the count will go 3-2.
Looks like a breaking ball in the outside corner. Martin has an outstanding curveball, a very good slider to go along with it. 3-2.
Could be a base hit. It is, and this is a bad man to have on if you're a Kansas City fan. Smith's going to keep on going. The throw in from Amos Otis, and Lonnie Smith showed that speed close to Willie Wilson. He took a single and made it into a double, and here the fans are stirred up again.
He sent it right back up the middle. It looked like a pretty good pitch. He didn't hesitate as he got to first base. Bott stumbled again, but it's an easy 2-base hit for him.
Otis was playing Smith, shading him slightly toward right center field, and as soon as Smith hit the ball, he knew he had 2. He made that double from home plate to first base.
You think it was an answer of McGraw doing that to Maddox the first time and McBride the second, as if to say we can do it too?
Well, you can't underestimate the speed of this Phillies ball club. With Smith on second, Rose will try and pull the ball. Phillies lead 2-0. 1 ball to Rose. Brennan tied at third base. So is Akins at first. There's your score. Brett, the third baseman. Royals bullpen starts going once again. Too low. Nice stop by Waffle. Rose goes 2 balls and no strikes on Rennie Martin. That's Smith, lower left-hand corner of the screen. Pete single to left, check swing in the first, given a single on the bunt down to third base. Paul Splitarf, the left-hander warming up. Marty Patton, the right-hander. The big question is, Splitarf, the third best pitcher on this staff, where has he been? Two balls, 1 strike on Pete Rose.
Rose's job, of course, in this situation is to pull the ball on the ground to the right side, get Ronnie Smith over to third. Mike Schmidt will be up.
He hits it to left center field. Amos Otis back, but Lonnie Smith will tag and try for third. Here he comes with that great speed. So Rose didn't pull the ball, but Lonnie Smith's great speed. Otis got the ball in quickly, but he made it to third base. The man coming up right now with 7 RBIs in this series is Mike Schmidt.
Rose's job in that situation to get the runner at third, so Mike Schmidt will be up with that runner on third with one out. There's Pete, the consummate professional. You get it done any way you can, and Pete seems to be able to do it.
A lot of ball clubs up until the 6th inning will pretty much let you hit straight away, making it an option. And knowing Pete Rose, you know he tried to pull that ball, but Rennie did a good job of keeping that ball outside. So Pete said, I'll just try to get the base hit the fly ball, and picked up the base. And that pulls the infield in. That's tough with this fella hitting.
Rennie Martin will pitch from the stretch with Lonnie Smith at third. 1 ball to Mike Schmidt. Schmidt with a single to right field. There's Lee Elia flashing a series of signs to Schmidt. And believe me, he's not giving him the bunt sign. Schmidt has the 2 RBIs in this ball game. Phillies lead by 2. Fouled off. He had a good cut on a high breaking pitch. 1 ball, 1 strike on Mike Schmidt with 1 out. He was right on that pitch, Tom.
It's a good example of the power hitter. You can see how he extends his arms. That's it. And the expression on his face saying, oh, how did I miss that one? An awfully powerful man, Mike Schmidt, can hit the ball out of this ballpark any place. Left field, right field, center field.
1 out, Lonnie Smith down at third base for the Phillies. Phillies lead over the Royals 2-0. We're in the bottom of the 5th. 1-1 the count on Mike Schmidt. Setting up outside. 2-1, so Martin is behind. Phillies won the first 2 ball games here at Veterans Stadium. Came from behind, went to Kansas City. Kansas City won the first 2, and it looked for a while, as we look at Smith again, that Kansas City was going to sweep the series there. But the Phillies came back. They need just this 1 victory in game number 6 to become the world's champions. 2-1. Good pitch. Count goes 2-2 to Mike Schmidt.
Martin faced Schmidt the last time in game number 3. First time he faced him, he ran a 2-2 count through a curveball, and Mike ran it out to short. Of course, Mike in this situation looking for a ball he can drive to the outfield, get a sacrifice fly.
He's got an edge with that infield in and the artificial surface.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Schmidt. Nice stop by John Watson. He just saved a run.
Beautiful play. He got that body in front of it. Your job is not to catch it. Your job is to block it. And that curveball from the right-hander, when it hits the ground, will break towards his left shoulder. Watch it reverse. And that's why you have to get right at the edge. And it takes a little bit of guts to do that. And it takes practice because you think the ball's scooting by you. But it breaks back towards you. And he really blocked that ball nicely. Nice play. Boone has been doing it the entire series. And now Watson comes up with a great play.
3 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. Phillies lead 2-0. Schmidt at bat. Way outside, he walked. While we have a chance, we're going to pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC Television Network. Big McBride, the cleanup hitter, scheduled to hit right now. Joe Garagiola, Tony Kubek, Tom Seaver. There's your score. Phillies 2, Royals nothing. Phillies have runners at first and third with one out. Paul Splittorff, with McBride coming up to bat, will replace Rennie Martin, the third pitcher used by the Kansas City Royals. So there's a break here at Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. The score, the Phillies 2, the Royals nothing. McBride facing Splittorff, his first appearance in this World Series. Fouled out of play by McBride. One strike. There's one out. Splittorff behind Leonard Gura had the most innings pitched on this ball club, and yet he wasn't used until this point. There are your runners. Smith at third, Schmidt at first. One strike on McBride. Missed outside, 1-1. I guess you come into World Series, Tom, you've got to have some kind of master plan, if that's the proper terminology, for your pitching through a series. But you go into a series like this, and you're afraid to pitch or start your third best pitcher. I'm not so sure that's a wise thing to do, but that's what's happened. He blew it by McBride up tight. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
And you know, Tony, Splittorff's pitched extremely well coming down the stretch. At the All-Star break, he was 5-6. Had some back problems during the season, but he ended up 14-11. His innings pitch and hit ratio was not good, but he was a very good pitcher for this ball club down the stretch. More than a little bit miffed about not pitching.
Way outside with a breaking pitch. 2 balls, 2 strikes. 1 out. Well, the scouting reports that were turned in said to Jimmy Fry that Philadelphia is a right-handed power-hitting ball club. Take a chance with Gura. He's the style pitcher, might beat them, but they didn't think Splittorff could. And I think you put yourself in a hole when you think that before the series even begins. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. He broke his bat. They probably will not get 2. Smith scores. They do get a runner at first base as Schmidt goes to second, so McBride gets an RBI as Smith, with that great speed, scores. Phillies lead 3-0. He really sawed him off.
I don't think there's any way in the world you're going to get a double play out of Big McBride unless it's a line drive that somebody catches in the air. A very tough situation to get out of and not give up a run first and third with McBride running, of course. Washington made a fine play at shortstop. Big McBride gets down that baseline as good as anybody in the National League.
Now it's the Bull, Greg Lazinski, who struck out and lined to Brett at third with Schmidt at second base. Breaking ball too low, 1-0.
That's a run actually the Phillies manufactured on great speed by Lonnie Smith. He stretched the double. He went to third on Pete Rose's fly ball and just scores on the ground ball.
1 ball to the Bull with 2 outs. 1 ball, 1 strike. Phillies lead 2-0. We're in the bottom of the 5th. Mike Schmidt at second. He has 2 runs batted into this ballpark. Chopper. The chant of "Let's go Bull." UL Washington throws him out. 6-3 if you're scoring, but the Phillies come up with another run. So the score here, after 5 in Philadelphia, the Phillies 3, the Kansas City Royals nothing. Due up for the Royals, number 9 hitter Frank White, then Willie Wilson and UL Washington.
1980 was a resurgent year for Philly reliever Tug McGraw after struggling through a miserable 1979 season when he posted 16 saves and an astronomical 5.16 ERA. McGraw rebounded the following year with 20 saves and a 1.46 ERA. It was his best season since 1972 when he saved 27 and had a 1.7 ERA for the Mets. With more on the excitable McGraw, here's Tom Means with a Vintage Sports Center report from 1980.
There is only one Tug McGraw, relief pitcher extraordinaire, a guy who wears his emotions on his sleeve for everyone to see, but a fellow who plays for a team that doesn't know how to spell the word emotion. McGraw, who coined the phrase, "You gotta believe," with the '69 Miracle New York Mets, says that slogans won't work with his present team, the Philadelphia Phillies.
But phrases are things that you really have to believe in as a unit, and this ball club is more or less has its own individual types of motivation. So a team slogan really doesn't really catch on with the Phillies.
McGraw has been one of the best relievers in baseball the second half of the season, saving many crucial games for the Phils with his usual array of pitches, including the screwball, which drives left-handed hitters crazy. McGraw is also in the option year of his contract, and there are rumors that he may go the free agent route and return to the Mets or maybe the New York Yankees. Because McGraw has yet to open talks with the Phillies, what's wrong? Is there an impasse? No. You see, McGraw is a rarity in sports these days. He hasn't opened talks yet because he doesn't have an agent.
The reason that I haven't been negotiating with the Phillies this year is because since I do handle my own negotiations, I did not want the distraction of going through that during the season. So I have talked to the Phillies early in the year that we would get together at the end of the season when any pressure of negotiating wouldn't affect my performance on the field. So at this point in the season, the last thing on my mind is my concern for a contract or the future years down the road for me. My concern right now is continuing to do a good job out of the bullpen for the Phillies here in September and getting into the playoffs in the World Series. The contract's really the last thing on my mind right now.
Tug McGraw is a very unusual person on a very unusual team. But if the Phillies brass knows what they're doing, they'll keep Tug McGraw around for many years to come. I'm Tom Mees, ESPN.
Everyone knows him as Tug, but did you know that the father of country music star Tim McGraw's full name is Frank Edwin McGraw? Now you do. Now let's return to Game 6 of the 1980 World Series between the Phillies and the Kansas City Royals here on ESPN Classic.
Back in Philadelphia, I'm Merle Hartman, Riley Carpenter, the president of the Phillies. Your family has owned this ball club for, well, a lot of years, since 1945, and now we're down to this final week. What's it been like in Philadelphia this week?
Well, it's been a hectic week, Merle. Of course, we spent a good bit of time in Kansas City early on. We're very pleased, and obviously this is the greatest moment that the Phillies franchise has had since my family owned it.
And this franchise has been going 97 years. Back to the booth.
All right, thank you, Mr. Carpenter. Merle. Frank White pops up to Larry Bowa. Man coming up, Willie Wilson, has struck out 11 times in this World Series. It has been written many times about him that he is not carrying his load. He's disappointed it's been said of him.
Yeah, I think it's unfair because we're a team. We're not just one person. Of course, I'm a great part of this team, but I don't feel that I'm the one that's going to make us win or make us lose. I'm the one that's having a part of making us win or lose. And when you have guys like Hal McRae, George Brett, Amos Otis, those guys drive in runs, you can't say I'm not getting on base is going to make us win or lose. It's just unfair pressure put on me.
He is going to be a great ball player. He is already a good defensive player. He just was thrown out by Carlton when he jumped on the first pitch, as Frank White did, bunted back, and Carlton threw him out by about a step. So Carlton has two very quick outs in the top of the sixth. Carlton with the 3-0 lead. Through 5 innings, Carlton had struck out 6, walked 2. Now it's UL Washington. Just 2 base hits off Carlton. UL Washington, infield single. Watson a single up the middle. Steve Carlton this year will receive his 3rd Cy Young Award. 1 strike to Washington. And I gotta believe Carlton, with innings like this, if he gets out with just 4 or 5 pitches, it's going to help him in the 8th and the 9th. One and one to Washington. There are 2 outs. Phillies have won 3 ball games. Royals won the first 2 in Kansas City. One ball, 2 strikes.
Again, our radar gun down there, Tony, has Carlton about 88, sometimes 89 miles an hour, and again, I don't believe it. I just can't believe it.
That last pitch was a pitch he turned over, though. And with that single ball action, it might not be quite as hard as when he throws that riding fastball. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs.
His pitches have good pop on the end. They get to that hitting zone out in front of home plate where those hitters like to make contact. And that fastball is exploding through that hitting zone. That's one of the keys of pitching. Fastballs do 3 things. They go a certain place, they go to a certain speed, and they have certain movement on them. And of the 3 of those things, that movement is probably the most important.
1 and 2 pitch to Washington, fouled out of play. One ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Top of the 6th. The Phillies leading 3-0. Good. Looked like a breaking ball, Tom. To get strikeout number 7. Steve Carlton just getting UL Washington. So in the middle of the 6th, the score, the Phillies 3, Kansas City nothing.
Watching Game 6 of the 1980 World Series between the Kansas City Royals and the Philadelphia Phillies on ESPN Classic.
Maddox, Trio, Boa to face Paul Splittorff. The third Royals pitcher, Gale started. Martin came in, and now Splittorff. 1 ball to Gary Maddox with the score here in Philadelphia. 3-0. The Phillies lead over Kansas City. Carlton has allowed just 2 base hits. 2-0. Dallas Green, the man who took over this ball club at the end of last season. And on the last day of the season, he told this Phillies ball club that you go home and look yourselves in the mirror, because you're a much better ball club than you showed this year. And he has been on some of these players all year long. There is Jimmy Fry. Saw his club get off to a big lead early in the Western Division American League. Count goes 3-1 now to Gary Maddox. Line drive, base hit on a 3-1 pitch, so Maddox is on with good speed down at first base, and Tree will be the hitter. See now in the 6th inning if Dallas Green will.
Virtually every time the Kansas City Royals have been behind, Tony, through this series, Paul Moscow keeping the charts over here, there's only about 2 times when they've been behind in the count that they've thrown something other than the fastball. There you see Brett trying to get the line drive by Maddox, but Maddox ahead in the count 3-1. He simply got a fastball and ripped it to left field.
Dallas Green has some options. He may try and pad that lead, have Trio bunt. Trio, good bat control, hits the opposite way. Brett is creeping in. He's hit and running. Maddox was off and going, and Trio fouled it off. This Phillies ball club has really been under intense pressure throughout the second half of the season. Maddox looking at a sign from Elia. They won 23 of their last 29 on the road. They had to go up to Montreal on the last weekend and win 2 of 3 on the road, and they did. They had 5 tough championship series games against the Houston Astros. They've come from behind in these series ball games. 1 strike. Splittorff throws over. Maddox back easily. Trio the hitter. Phil's lead 3-0. The bottom of the 6th. Ground ball should be 2. Splittorff, UL Washington. Over to Akins, and UL that time really made sure he stepped on the bag. They complete the double play, so there are 2 outs, and Bo will be the hitter.
A good example of the experienced pitcher and the rookie, Rich Gale, the other day got the ball back to the mound, didn't know where he was going. There's Paul Splittorff, a 34-year-old veteran. He gets the ball, turns right around and fires a strike to second base. UL Washington, of course, turns it into an easy double play for the Royals.
Boa now will bat from the right side off Splittorff. Chop foul. Boa, starting his 7th double play in this ball game, broke Phil Rizzuto's record. One strike with 2 outs. Way up on the bat, about 6-8 inches. 1-1. Two balls, 1 strike to Boa. Phils with 3 runs on 6 hits, have not committed an error. Kansas City, no runs, 2 hits. They've committed 1 costly error. That by White when he pulled UL Washington off the bag. Good fastball by Splittorff, 2-2. Signed in the back of Splittorff, 1950. National League champs. Those are the Witz kids. Robin Roberts, Richie Ashburn, Eddie's drilled in the left field corner. Boa's going to have extra bases. Willie Wilson to the wall. Wilson into third base with a throw, so Boa continues to have an excellent World Series with a double off the screen.
Larry Bowes had an outstanding World Series so far. Coming into today, he was 8 for 20 on a 2-2 count. He got a high breaking ball, and that's a pitch that a good professional hitter won't miss. If you throw it up there in his eyes, he's going to hit it hard somewhere.
Willie Wilson did a good job of getting back there, getting that ball back in there, because he was playing very shallow, and you could see that Bo had made up his mind. He was at least going for the double and a possible triple. Wilson plays it well and gets it back in.
So now it'll be Bob Boone stepping in with 2 outs and Bo at second base. Phillies leading 3-0. Bo looking around, checking the outfield. One strike to Boone. Boone walked in the third. That set up that inning where 2 runs were scored. Schmidt got the 2 RBIs. Bo is at second now. Boone is also flying to right. Pull the string. Base hit. Bo will score. It is now 4-0. RBI for Boone.
Another mistake by Paul Splittorff. Bob Boone kept his hands back. It didn't look like that bad a pitch, though. Tony got the ball down, and Boone was out in front, and of course Larry Boa scored easily.
I don't think he snapped it off, Tom. He seemed to roll that curveball. It was a flat curveball, and the only danger here is Boa hurting somebody one of those high fives. Watch him. The reaction. He is just banging on everybody.
Jimmy Fry, who is going to have to come from behind with his Royals in this ball game if they are to get their first World Championship. And if they win today, they would still have to win tomorrow. Ruthven is scheduled to pitch if we go to Game 7. The fans in this ballpark, and they've got a little ways to go yet as we're only in the 6th, are beginning to smell their first World Championship. With Carlton on the mound, and that is your score. Carlton has pitched a very strong ball game, has allowed just 2 base hits. Steve Carlton looking for his second World Series win in 1980. He won the second ball game. He has a 4-0 lead. Now it's Boone at first. Smith, he's been on base twice. He's the hitter. 1 ball to Lonnie Smith. Outside, 2 balls, no strikes with 2 outs. Dallas Green, who came out of the front office, is not certain whether he will come back next year. Fouled on a play by Smith on a 2-0 pitch. 2-1 now. Dallas Green has made the comment. He's had run-ins with a lot of his ball players. He said, I don't care if they don't like me. Some of these guys have got to learn how to play and win. Outside, 3 balls, 1 strike. Green has not yet committed himself as to whether or not he will return next year. He said if a few trades are made, I might come back. Got to believe that Rudy Carpenter and the bunch will want him back. 3 balls, 2 strikes on Lonnie Smith with 2 outs. Bob Boone's at first. The Phillies lead 4-0.
He managed by that old school theory of I don't have to like them, they have to get to know me.
Well, he had his leader on the field, and Pete Rose, Seaver talked to him before the ball game. Fly ball, center field. Amos Otis over to right center. He's got it. So the Phillies will strand a base runner, but Boone with a big RBI single pads the Philadelphia lead after 6, 4-0. But the Royals in the 7th will send up George Brett, then Hal McRae, and Amos Otis. We'll be back after these messages from your local station.
You're watching Game 6 of the 1980 World Series between the Kansas City Royals and the Philadelphia Phillies on ESPN Classic.
John Wathan, Jose Cardinal, and Frank White. We are in the 8th inning. Philadelphia 4, Kansas City nothing. Carlton has struck out 7. He has walked 2. He has allowed 3 hits. Three hits, a single by Washington in the 4th. Double play and rub that out. After 2 strikeouts, he gave up a hit to Wathan. It's ball 1. That was in the 5th inning. And then Brett led off the 7th with a single. Carlton retired 3 men in a row. It's a strike. Carlton, to me now, is using the Sal Ruggivan theory, throwing strikes where the high ball hitters hit over it and the low ball hitters hit under it. He's throwing it right down the middle with something on it. He's got a... It's outside. Ruggivan was a pitcher with Detroit and the White Sox, and I love this theory. Throw it down the middle, low ball hitters hit under it, and high ball hitters hit over it.
That's a bad theory in the 6th game of the World Series. You get in a pattern
that would
start just throwing the ball down the middle, and all of a sudden you get in the groove, and you get tattooed, and then can't get back in your rhythm.
Hey, you start getting cute out there, nipping corners and walk somebody, and you're going to get nailed right to the outfield fence. 2 balls and 1 strike. The one thing he wants to stay away from are bases on balls. 3-1 to count.
That's Carlton's 100th pitch, Joe.
There's a strike.
Take it all the way. Wathan went up, looked at Gordon McKenzie. He gave him the sign, take at least 1 strike. 3-1. He gave him the take sign again. You got to get somebody on. You can't go wailing away and hope to get a base hit. Not the way this man's throwing.
Out of play. Count remains full at 3-2.
He's just gone over 100 pitches, and to put it into perspective, here in the 8th inning, he's got 102 now. In Game 3, when he pitched against the Royals, he pitched 8 innings, won the ball game, but in those 8 innings, he threw 159 pitches. He's much, much sharper tonight.
Fouled out of play once again. He's coming right down the middle with it.
I'll tell you, I think it was a tremendous idea you had, Tom, to get Paul Moscow to keep an in-depth chart for us and use the radar gun, and we can see patterns that have developed through this series that you've pointed out, Carlton to Akins, and what Carlton and other pitchers have thrown.
He walked him, a base on balls. That's the 3rd walk given up. First base runner here in the 8th. Cardinal the batter, nobody out. And now Boone wants to go out and talk to him. Keep in mind that it was McCarver who was always Carlton's catcher. He was his private catcher. In fact, Timmy used to make jokes saying, when we die, I'm going to be buried. As we look at McGraw in the bullpen, we're going to be buried 60 feet 6 inches apart. He just caught every game, but Booney's come on, and he's done some job. 24-9, I got to believe it's quite a job. Cardinal, he is looking for his first base hit. Taking all the way, it's a strike. Cardinal, who came in that tough spot in Kansas City as a pinch hitter, and McGraw was able to strike him out to end the game. Line drive, pull foul down the left field line. 2 strikes. Wathan heads back to first.
Cardinal 0 for 2 tonight, was 0 for 4 in Game 3 against Carlton, with 2 strikes out and also grounded into a double play. So Steve has given him nothing but fits in the 2 games that Jose has faced him.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Boone was ready to throw. Wathan is on at first. Trailing by 4, you wouldn't think he'd be gone, but both clubs have run whenever. Curveball misses. 2-2. Line drive, base hit. Cardinal has his first base hit. Wathan stops at second. Nobody out, and Frank White is the batter.
Tom, looked like a breaking ball, a slider that Carlton got up. Dallas Green, Bobby Wine. Is he going to make a move? He has McGraw ready.
I would believe that that was kind of a sign he had with the bullpen when he went to his left arm as he came up to the top step of the dugout. McGraw is ready, and his crowd will really react when he comes on, because he has really been something. He is going to make a move, and Carlton should get a nice hand as he walks off. The crowd's starting to react already.
McGraw's had quite a day.
The crowd reacted to Carlton, who had such a tremendous year to put him here, and now McGraw.
Well, McGraw this afternoon started off by having a tugboat renamed after him. He christened it.
For more information on our classic games, trivia, upcoming specials, and the ESPN Classic program schedule, go to ESPN.com, keyword classic. In the fall of 1980, Ronald Reagan was elected the 40th president in the United States when he beat incumbent Jimmy Carter in a landslide. Carter's administration was plagued by a gas shortage, high inflation, high interest rates, and the Iranian hostage crisis. Also that year, the U.S., along with its allies, boycotted the Summer Olympics in Moscow as a protest over the Soviets' invasion of Afghanistan. Also in 1980, faulty tampons were the cause of a widespread breakout of toxic shock syndrome among American women. On the pop culture scene, 15-year-old Brooke Shields caused a firestorm with her controversial ads for Calvin Klein jeans. Famous quotes from the ads were, "What comes between me and my Calvins? Nothing. And if my Calvins could talk, I'd be ruined." Also that year, comedian Richard Pryor nearly was killed when he severely burned himself after freebasing cocaine. 4 days after Game 6, Barbra Streisand began a 3-week run with the #1 song on the Billboard charts, "A Woman in Love." In 1980, inflation was at 13.5%, the prime interest rate was at 21%, and a gallon of gas cost $1.25. Now let's continue with Game 6 of the 1980 World Series between the Phillies and the Royals here on ESPN Classic.
Here we go. White, Wilson, Washington due up. Base runners at first and second. Nobody out. Takes it low, ball one.
Continue to take a strike. First two hitters did off Carlton. There's your defensive alignment for White, Boa, and Trio playing up the middle of the diamond. Looking for the double play. Maddox shade toward right field.
It's popped up in foul territory. Rose. One out. That brings up Willie Wilson as Rose hauls in the pop fly hit by Frank White. Wilson struck out in the first. He struck out in the third. Tried to beat out a bunt, but Carlton got him in the sixth.
They have just powered the ball by Willie Wilson. We pointed out he has struck out 11 times. He is just a kid. He admitted before the game the pressure is really on him. He's tried too hard. He's been strangling that bat, and they've just been blowing the ball by him.
Ball one.
He's the kid who got 230 hits during the regular season. The second, there's Watson at second. Cardinelli for the second man in baseball history to get 100 hits from each side. Gary Templeton last year, this year Wilson.
Screwball is high. 2 balls and no strikes. The on-deck man is U.L. Washington, followed by George Brett. 4-0. Phillies are leading. We are in the 8th. Strike. 2 balls, 1 strike. Gordy McKenzie coaching at third. Not much going on here. 2-1 count. 3-1. Now he'll take a look down at his sign. McGraw pitching himself into trouble. If Wilson gets on, the tying run will be at the plate in the person of UL Washington, followed by George Brett. Wathan at second. Cardinal at first. Walked him, bases loaded, tying runs at the plate.
The obvious controversy in this inning, of course, is Dallas Green taking Steve Carlton out while pitching a shutout, just giving up 4 hits to the Royals through 7 innings and getting into the 8th with the first 2 men getting on. But a well-rested Tug McGraw in the bullpen, and the job that he's done so far, and the job that he's done down the last half of the season for the Phillies, plus the fact that Steve Carlton had pitched 350 innings, counting everything from the start of spring training.
UL Washington singled in the 4th, struck out in the 1st, struck out in the 6th. Strike 1. The on-deck batters, we look at the base runners. Wathan at 3rd, Cardinal at 2nd. Willie Wilson is at 1st.
Tom, I guess you've got to go with what got you here. Fry's done the same thing with Quisenberry. McGraw's had the kind of year you just talked about, the finishing part of the season. McGraw's done the job more than Quisenberry has so far in this World Series.
Low screwball, 1 ball and 1 strike. There's the on-deck man, George Brett. 4-0. The tying run is in the batter's box.
The Royals have got it going, but several times during this series they have not been able to come up with that key hit. There they are. The bases are loaded.
1 out. Foul back. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
That's what Jimmy Fry was saying before this ball game, trying to sum up what's happened to his ball club. He said, we haven't gotten the big hit and we haven't made the big pitch. When you can't do that, you got a bad problem. There's Fry.
Philly bullpen continues to throw. Time now, too much. McGraw trying to make that bat just a little heavier in UL Washington's hands. He builds it up, and it got a bit heavy, backed out. Bases loaded. Left center field, Maddox taking charge, tagging up Wathan. He's going to try to score. He will. It's 4-1 as the throw goes into 3rd. Sacrifice fly. So McGraw gets his 2nd out, and it brings up George Brett. 4-1, base runners. Cardinals at 2nd, Wilson is at 1st.
This will be an interesting confrontation because in Game 5, in the 7th and the 9th inning, McGraw struck Brett out both times with fastballs high and away. Brett in this situation looks inside for 1 pitch or so, a ball he can pull. I doubt if he's going to have to take side, as the other guys have.
He's the tying run in the batter's box. He'll be swinging from the time thinking it from the time he left the bench. Strike 1. He's the one man they wanted up there in the spot. Here's the spot and here's the man.
He hit the dramatic home run against Rich Gossage in that championship series deep in the upper deck, which won it for them.
One ball, 1 strike. Cardinal at 2nd base, Wilson at 1st. On deck, Hal McRae. Foul ball. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs.
Well, let's see if McGraw now continues the pattern, which he struck Brett out in game number 5 twice, and go to the fastball. You got to believe that Brett's going to be looking that way.
One hopper, Trio gets it. Rose covering, safe, safe. He was off the bag. Bases are loaded.
McGraw went with a screwball, I believe, or a slow curve. Couldn't tell exactly what the action of the ball was. Trio makes an excellent play. McGraw, well, he was coming over in time. Then Pete cut in front of him, and he just missed the bag.
If Pete had gotten out of the way of this ball, Tony, Tug McGraw, who we talked about the other day being an outstanding athlete, was right in position and would have beaten Brett to the bag. After that fastball gets out of the way, after here's the pitch to Brett, the breaking ball that he hits. After Pete goes after the ball and gets away from the bag, it's the pitcher's job to get over there. And I believe Tug would have made that play had Pete not been in the way.
He had the throw in front of him. Rose had his back to Trio.
Here is Hal McRae now. 2 men out. It's high, ball 1. Remember, Willie Aikens on a ball came back to Gura, missed the bag, and Schmidt had a home run. Royals fans are saying, can lightning strike? McRae. Bases loaded. High. 2 balls, no strikes.
McRae has just 1 RBI in this World Series, but he hasn't had a whole lot of opportunities. He's let off a lot of innings. He has not left that many men on. He's gotten singles to keep rallies going.
High, ball 3. 3-0. McGraw. 3 balls, no strikes to McRae. And he took a good look at Gordy McKenzie. The bases are loaded. There are 2 outs. Phillies are leading 4-1. Taking. It's a strike. Now he's thinking what he can look for as we see the defense and the base runners. Down the right field line near the stands. Rose giving it a chase. Out of play. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. 8th inning, Philadelphia 4, Kansas City 1.
3 players with outstanding efforts. Rose will climb the tarp. McBride coming from right field, and Trio coming from his second base spot. What intensity.
George Brett, if you're scoring, was credited with a hit. Time called. This crowd will tell you what happens. Wilson at second. Brett at first. Didn't mean to swing.
Did not go fastball. Looked like he threw him a breaking pitch. 3-2.
McRae, who had 39 doubles during the season, Yount led with 49. If he should happen to hit one now with the runners breaking, so we'll score them all. Brett was around second base by the time the ball got to the plate. 3-2, 2 outs, they're off and running. Out of play.
I think if you talk to the Royals players who they'd like to have up in this situation, they name 1 or 2 men. Brett might be one, but that guy right there would rank very close to George Brett. He's been a tremendous clutch hitter for that ball club.
Not only the Royals, Tony, Dallas Green was quoted as saying he was the one man he didn't want to see up there in a game situation, McRae. And he's up there now. Bouncing ball, Trio, big hop, has it. Innings over. McGraw does it again. We go to the bottom of the 8th to score here. Phillies 4, Royals 1. For the Phillies, it'll be Gary Maddox, Manny Trio, and Larry Bowa.
On a 3-2 count, Tug McGraw with Hal McRae at the plate. This may well be the biggest pitch of the series. Bases loaded and the runners are going. A fastball, it looks like in the outside part of the plate. Hal McRae looked like he was looking for something inside. A ground ball at Manny Trio and over to first, and the Phillies get out of the inning with just giving up 1 run. The Phillies lead 4-1 with 3 outs to go to be world champions.
And there he goes again. McGraw, very emotional, hyper, pounding his heart. Here is Gary Maddox, and he's in the race for the most valuable player as we look at Quisenberry, who's come on for the Kansas City Royals. It's ball 1, pitching off the stretch as he has throughout most of this series, even with nobody on. Time is called. A firecracker just went off in center field. And the crowd really reacting the way they should.
You can see the stats of Dan Quisenberry. 1 win, 2 losses, high ERA. And he has struggled. He has been the salvation of this Royals ball club throughout most of the season. He has done his job every time.
2 balls, no strikes.
He has gotten ground balls in this series. Some have bounced over, some through. They've hit him kind of hard. Schmidt has hit him hard several times. McGraw's done the job, and Quisenberry hasn't often enough for Kansas City.
Down the left field line, Willie Wilson near the stands may have a play. He does. Willie Wilson makes the catch. So Maddox is out. There is 1 out. Quisenberry has appeared in all 6 games as we look at Wilson. It's a new World Series record for 6 games. Wilson finds the fence, as you see. Moves up, makes the catch. The old record in 6 games was 4 appearances by Larry Sherry in 1959 and Jerry Staley for the White Sox in 59. But Quisenberry sets a new record should the series end in 6. Trio, who got the big base hit in Kansas City off Quisenberry, line went right back at him to drive in Del Unser, who had driven in Schmidt to tie the game with a pinch hit double. Bouncing ball, UL Washington, big hop. 2 outs. Looking ahead to the 9th, Amos Otis, Willie Aikens, and John Wathan as we look at the Kansas City bench.
Larry has heard some boos from these people this year, but not in this World Series the way he's played, with the bat and with the glove. He on a radio show he has blasted Dallas Green late in the season.
Fly ball, right field. Cardinal is there. 3 up, 3 down. We complete 8 innings, and now we go to the 9th. And the score: Philadelphia 4, Kansas City 1. Fans are on their feet. The Phillies have never won a World Series. Keep that in mind. And it'll be up to Tug McGraw to nail it down. And 2 up. For Kansas City, it'll be Amos Otis, a hot hitter, Willie Aikens, a power hitter, and John Wathan.
You're watching Game 6 of the 1980 World Series between the Kansas City Royals and the Philadelphia Phillies on ESPN Classic.
This is the 9th. The crowd's on its feet. And Amos Otis checking his vision. The crowd will pretty much tell you what's happening in this 9th inning.
There's Aikens on deck. But if you wonder if the Phillies win this, and they look like they're going at this point, they will get $34,270 each. 42 shares. That is not official.
Strike. Two balls, 1 strike. Minnesota's disagreeing with the plate umpire, Nick Bremigan, as McGraw just waits. Two balls, two strikes.
Screwball. He set him up beautifully, Tom, with a fastball the pitch before. Well, I guess it was a slow curve, wasn't it? Wasn't a screwball.
Looked like an off-speed breaking ball, Tony, but he had him set up beautifully. He really did. Tug, of course, has 4 or 5 pitches that he can use at any one time, and he's a master at using them when he's on.
Willie Aikens, the batter. 1 out. Phillies 4, Kansas City 1, top of the 9th. Nobody on.
Kansas City knows that McGraw got himself in trouble in game number 5 over in Kansas City. A couple of base on balls, got himself in trouble. And this is they're looking for a place to get their foot in the door, and this is what they want.
Philadelphia 4, Kansas City 1, top of the 9th. Count remains at 2-2. Three and two. 1 out. Willie Aikens draws the base on balls, and the crowd goes down, up with the strikes. They have never won a World Series, the Philadelphia Phillies. We're going to have a pinch runner here, as you see Concepcion come out of the dugout. This town has been waiting for it a long time. We saw it all day today, all day yesterday.
McGraw, as he did in inning number 8, might be back in a little bit of trouble. He walked 2 in the 8th. Now he walks Aikens.
Time is called down the right field line as we look at Aikens. It's been a tremendous championship series, a tremendous series, and should this end tonight, there really are no winners and no losers. They both are winners and losers. Both teams played well. A tremendous series. Wathan, 1 out, base runner at first, strike 1. How these Phillies battled all year. Kansas City, great year. Base hit, right field. Concepcion stops at second. One out. Tying run is at the plate again in Cardinal as Wathan gets his second hit of the night. That sends the buzz through the stands. Cardinal singled his last time up.
Phillies bullpen starts going once again as we look at the Royals bench.
They've been referring to these Phillies, as we see an overhead shot, as the cardiac kids. And once again, the tying run is at the plate, which has been typical of this whole series. They have gone, both clubs, to the 27th out. Foul back. 27th out with a chance to win. One ball, one strike, one out.
You've said this often, Tom, about McGraw. He seems to thrive in these kinds of circumstances. He creates his problem, somehow wiggles out. That was great.
So the on-deck batter, Frank White. Foul ball. One ball, two strikes. Cardinal, one ball, two strikes, one out. Frank White on deck. Tying run right there. We have base runners. Concepcion at second, Wathan at first. Pickoff play at first. They're going to have a little bit of an argument, maybe. No. Almost blocked him, Martinez says. He does get back, Wathan.
Pretty dangerous play in this kind of situation, but Booney with a great confidence in his arm. Rose sneaking back. A play that was pre-planned. Rose caught the foot of John Wathan, almost shielded him off the bag. Never did tag him, though.
Pete Rose can't get in the front door, try the back door. He'll try anything. 2-2 pitch. Foul back. Drive center field. It is a base hit. They're going to hold everybody up. The bases are loaded. And Frank White is the batter. The tying runs are on. There you see Martinez, the coach at first base, as he pats Cardinal. At second base, Wathan. Concepcion stopped at third. And Frank White is the batter.
I think it's just marvelous as we look at Della Green, the way this Kansas City ball club, who looked like they were completely beaten by Carlton early in this ballgame when he was almost overpowering them, have come back in both the 8th and the 9th inning and threatened this Phillies ball club.
Frank White, who is 2 for 24 in the batter's box. It's popped up. Boone, Rose, they'll have a play. Boone dropped it and Rose caught it. Rose was right there. It popped out of his glove and Rose made the play.
Give me an idea as we look at Boone approaching the dugout. He picks it up. How much Pete Rose hustled. He came over to help out if he needed the help. It scoots away, and Rose keeps it from going in the dugout. So they get it out. The hustle of Pete Rose.
McGraw's a tremendous play. He's like the garbage collector that they refer to in the hockey games. He's always around the puck. He was around the ball. It popped out of Boone's glove. What a play he made. Strike. Willie Wilson. There you see the Canine Corps in the backdrop.
Part of the security here, the stadium. We talked about it before.
Kansas City bullpen making their way in. Fouled off. UL Washington, the on-deck hitter. It is 2 strikes on Willie Wilson. Bases loaded. 2 outs. What pressure on McGraw, what pressure on Wilson. The crowd will tell you what happens.
Tug McGraw may have stolen the spotlight in Games 5 and 6, but it was Mike Schmidt who won the series MVP with a .381 average, 2 home runs, and 7 RBI. With more on the Phillies celebration, here's Lou Palmer with his Vintage Sports Center report from 1980.
This is the scene, the pandemonium, all of the delight in the Phillies clubhouse. They finally have won the World Series. Tug McGraw took the Phillies fans right to the wall, over 65,000 of them at Veterans Stadium, and then finally struck out the final batter to wrap up the 1980 World Series championships, and the Phillies obviously delighted.
I'm so proud to be a part of this ball club, and the way we won it was typical Philadelphia. You know, Philadelphia is always playing second fiddle to all these other great cities in this country. Now we're the world champions. We don't have to play second fiddle to nobody, man. We're #1, and the world's going to know that. And W.C. Fields is rolling over in his grave wishing he would be at this party.
The Phils would return to the Fall Classic in 1983, only to lose in 5 games to Baltimore.